The Google searches, social media feeds, and news sites we use every day represent a tiny 4% of the total web. The vast majority of the internet remains hidden below that surface. Much of this is the deep web, private data like your bank statements or medical records that stay invisible to search engines. But at the very bottom, in the most unreachable corners of the network, lies the dark web, a region of the internet where identities are intentionally erased. Accessing this void requires a specialized tool called the Tor browser. The United States Navy originally developed this technology to protect the communications of their intelligence operatives working in hostile territory. Tor, or the onion router, masks a user's location by wrapping their data in layers of encryption and bouncing the signal through thousands of volunteer computers globally. A message might jump from Brazil to Germany to Russia, with each node deleting the previous leg of the journey. The Navy had engineered the perfect hiding spot, but for decades, it lacked a functional economy. Without a way to move money outside the reach of global banks, the dark web remained a place for talk, but not for business. In 2011, a 26-year-old libertarian named Ross Ulbricht decided to change that. Ross believed the state had no moral authority to regulate peaceful, voluntary trade, regardless of whether that trade involved high-grade narcotics. He found the missing piece of his vision in Bitcoin. This new technology provided a digital currency that functioned like cash, moving between anonymous wallets without requiring a bank account or a government-issued ID. After teaching himself to code, Ross married Tor's anonymity with Bitcoin's financial secrecy to launch the Silk Road. He named the site after the ancient trade route that once connected the East and West. Ross intended for the Silk Road to be a test of whether an unregulated, anonymous society could govern itself through pure economic freedom. To make the system work, Ross had to establish trust between anonymous criminals. He did this by adopting the Amazon model, implementing a strict review system where customers could rate sellers and leave feedback on the quality of their illegal goods. He also created an escrow system. When a buyer sent Bitcoin, the platform held the funds in a neutral digital vault. The money only reached the seller once the customer confirmed that the package had actually arrived. Logistics were handled through the standard mail. Sellers used vacuum sealing technology to bypass drug-sniffing dogs, hiding heroin and cocaine inside books or toy cases. Every day, thousands of these packages moved through the U.S. Postal Service, without the carriers ever knowing they were delivering high-purity narcotics. The site reached a staggering scale, processing over $1 billion in trade. The inventory grew to include forged passports, hacking tools, and stolen credit card data, making the Silk Road the central hub of the global black market. Ross eventually adopted the pseudonym Dread Pirate Roberts. He began using the site's forums to post long manifestos, framing himself as a digital liberator and the architect of a new world free from government oversight. As the platform scaled into a billion-dollar empire, Ross was forced to manage the same violent problems that plague traditional cartels: theft, extortion, and internal threats that his libertarian philosophy couldn't resolve. The crisis arrived when a blackmailer claimed to have the real names and addresses of thousands of Silk Road users. He threatened to leak the entire database to the FBI unless Ross paid a massive ransom. Ross responded by abandoning his nonviolent principles. He logged into the dark web, located a hitman, and authorized a payment of $80,000 in Bitcoin to have the blackmailer killed. The hitman was actually an undercover FBI agent who sent Ross graphic photos of a staged murder. Ross viewed the images of the supposed victim and finalized the payment, unaware that the evidence was being logged by federal investigators. The ultimate breakthrough in the case didn't come from a supercomputer. A low-level IRS agent simply searched for early mentions of the Silk Road on the public web and found an old coding question Ross had posted on a Google forum using his personal email address. In October 2013, federal agents tracked Ross to a public library in San Francisco. They knew they had to catch him with his laptop open and his administrator account logged in, or his encryption would lock the evidence away forever. Two agents staged a loud, distracting argument behind him. When Ross turned his head to see the commotion, a third agent grabbed his laptop while it was still active, capturing the mastermind admin panel in full view. The network had survived years of high-tech surveillance, yet it was dismantled by a simple Google search and a moment of human distraction in a public library. In 2015, the court handed down a sentence designed to serve as a warning: double life plus 40 years without the possibility of parole. But the case was marred by corruption within the government. 2 of the lead federal agents on the investigation were later sent to prison for stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars in Bitcoin from the site they were supposed to be shutting down. This corruption, combined with the severity of his sentence, transformed Ross into a hero for the crypto and libertarian communities. High-profile tech figures like Elon Musk began publicly calling for his release. After 11 years in prison, Ross received a full presidential pardon from Donald Trump, who used the decision to secure the support of the massive libertarian and Bitcoin voting blocs. Ross is now free, but his digital blueprint remains. Dozens of successor sites used his exact methods to scale, making today's dark web markets exponentially larger than the Silk Road ever was. The story of the Silk Road reveals a troubling truth about the tools that connect us. While the internet provides a mask for our protection, it also reveals what humanity is capable of when it believes no one is watching.